While we may have exited the 20th century era of new amusement park construction, at least in the Western world, there have still been a number of parks that have popped up over the past decade, sometimes because it was a new theme park, but usually because the park was relatively unknown before, but made a large investment into a coaster and placed himself onto the map. In this video, I'm going to be going year by year from 2010 to 2019 and discussing various parks that maybe we hadn't heard of before, but were thrown into the mainstream with a large coaster investment. Now, because I don't want this video to be 30 minutes long, I'm only going to be picking 2 coasters from each year, and I'll pick the 2 coasters that are the best of the bunch that I compiled for each year. The ones that don't get chosen, however, will be listed as honorable mentions. Also, I'm only going to be listing any Chinese coasters as honorable mentions and not actually picking them because otherwise, they would literally take up almost every single spot in the video. And I've just made way too many videos on Chinese coasters recently for my sanity. With all that said, let's get right into the year 2010, back when silly bands were in style. Now, probably because 2010 was right after the economic recession, I have the least number of coasters of any year listed, 4 in total, so 2 honorable mentions and the 2 picks. The honorable mentions are Cobra at Coneyland, which is their first major coaster, and Huracan at Atlantis, which is their first major coaster. The first real pick is the coaster that shattered King Kaka's speed record, Formula Rossa. Formula Rossa opened on the same day as the park it's in, Ferrari World Abu Dhabi on November 4th, 2010. Right off the bat, everyone knew what Ferrari World was because they had a coaster that goes basically 150 miles per hour. I should also mention that Fiorano GT Challenge, the Mauer launch coaster, opened in 2010 there too, but I think that we can all agree that Formula Rossa was far more notable. My second pick is Battlestar Galactica at Universal Studios Singapore, which also opened with the park on March 18, 2010. Battlestar Galactica is a very unique ride because it's a dueling coaster, but one of the sides is for thrill seekers and the other side is supposed to be a family ride. The park was marketed as the only park of its kind in Asia, so it's fitting they had such a unique ride to go along with it. Now we move up to 2011, aka the golden age of planking. This time around we have 3 honorable mentions for rides that put parks on the map, 2 of which would be the picks if they weren't in China. These honorable mentions are Starry Skyripper at Joyland, Mountain Flyer / Wood Coaster at Night Valley, and Euro Fighter, that thing, at Zoo Safari Fazanalandia. The first real pick is Shock at Magic Land, then known as Rainbow Magic Land. This is a launch Mauer X car that is called extremely underrated and the best Mauer X car by nearly all riders. As it opened with the park, Shock provided an immediate reason for Europeans to travel out to visit the park rather than wait around to see if there's a very large investment. Second, I chose Wooden Warrior at Quasi. Quasi has actually existed for a very long time, as it opened 113 years ago back in 1908. In 1960, they added one of those BA Shift Wild Mice that were all the rage back then, and then it was replaced by a Herschel mouse in 1982. But in 2011, seeing as an outdated Wild Mouse wasn't a very big draw, Quasi made the move and invested in a family-based gravity group that makes the park worth a stop if you're in the area for lake compounds. Now we enter the Gangnam Style era of 2012, and this is really the last year where I'm not going to have that many honorable mentions. All 3 honorable mentions came from China, and maybe you're starting to see why I decide not to count these. They would occupy the spots for every year.
He has control of the
roller coaster industry.
He's too dangerous to be left alive.
But the honorable mentions are Bullet Coaster at Happy Valley Shenzhen, Darling Dragon at Happy Valley Wuhan, and Dinoconda at China Dinosaurs Park. The first real pick is Iron Shark at Galveston Island Historic Pleasure Pier. Despite what the name of the place might imply, Galveston Historic Pleasure Pier is a very new boardwalk park opening just 9 years ago in 2012. 1 week after the pier itself opened, their signature Gersau Eurofighter Iron Shark debuted, which is still their standout attraction along with the Texas Starflyer to this day. Iron Shark combined with Boardwalk Bullet make the area worth a detour on any coaster enthusiast Texas trip. The second pick I have is Manta at SeaWorld San Diego, and this is more in terms of putting the park on the map for roller coaster enthusiasts. SeaWorld San Diego had operated since 1964 as essentially an upscale outdoor aquarium, and before 2011 their only coaster was Journey to Atlantis. However, Manta gave the park one of the first Mock Rides launch coasters and provided the park with a ride with some great forces to please thrill seekers, but while also not being too extreme for families. Manta is a big reason why many enthusiasts find the trek down to San Diego to be worth it. Now we get to 2013, and this is the point where the economy had almost fully recovered from the recession, and China's theme park industry was getting into full swing, so many parks started to appear on the maps of roller coaster enthusiasts. For the honorable mentions, I have Abyss at Adventure World, Bullet at Selva Magica, Fjord Flying Dragon at Happy Valley Tianjin, White Lightning at Fun Spot America Orlando, Ring Racer at Nürburgring, and Nitro at Ad Labs Magica. First we have Carajo for our Leibniz Park Trip Stroll. Prior to Carajo, Trip Stroll was home to a Gersauer bobsled coaster and a decent wooden coaster, but when your standout ride is made by Cordez-Holzbau, you might have a lot of enthusiasts skipping you, but Carajo provides trips with that standout launch coaster that brings so many things from the good theming to some steep chops, a launch, some airtime, and some cool inversions to the table. My second pick is Storm at Etnaland. Etnaland originally opened in 2001 as a small resort. In 2013, they decided to make some serious expansions and invested in 3 roller coasters, the most notable being Storm, a custom Mack Megalite. While there are definitely some dead spots in the second half as Mack was still figuring out how to master Intamin's Megalite blueprint, Storm still offers a great number of airtime moments as well as an inline twist at the end that make this park a worthwhile stop if you're doing an Italy coaster tour. Moving up to 2014, we now have 7 honorable mentions, those being Adventure Drive at Suzuka Circuit, Alpina Blitz at Negoland, Altair at Cinecita World, Crater at Parque del Cafe, Quantum Leap at Sochi Park, Rorosaurus at Storyland, and Time Travel at Hako Park. Our first real pick is Lightning Rod at Kentucky Kingdom, which is a unique attraction because it's not that Kentucky Kingdom was never on the map, they just need to be put back on it when they reopen because they've lost a number of rides such as Chang and their Schwarzkopf Shuttle Loop, and Lightning Rod did just the trick. Lightning Rod sort of combined a hypercoaster blueprint with a small-scale RMC, as you have the load of airtime and quick back-to-back elements. You could argue that even when it was a Six Flags park, Kentucky Kingdom never really had a true standout ride, but Lightning Rod sure filled that hole. My second pick is Neveska in the Intamin Blitz coaster Isfan Bowl. Isfan Bowl opened 1 year prior in 2013, but really without a standout attraction. When they added a 164-foot tall, nearly 70-mile-per-hour Intamin coaster, Isfan Bowl was a stop you had to make if you found yourself in Turkey, and when you combine that with Hypercoaster at Land of Legends a few years later, Turkey has some parks worth going out of your way for. Now for 2015, the year in which we saw 250 deaths resulting from Pokemon Go. We once again have 7 honorable mentions, those being Euro Express at Remote New Park, Harpy at Sishuwangbana Sunakland,
What?
various Jungle Trailblazers, Switchback at ZDTs, Rewind Racers at Adventure City, Cannibal at Lagoon, and Turbulence at Adventureland Long Island. The first pick is Kukulane at Tato Park. Tato Park, which is essentially Hershey Park for potatoes, opened originally back in 2010 but without any roller coasters. In fact, Ireland as a whole didn't have any major roller coasters, but that's exactly what Kukulane provided them with. With this arguably elite wooden coaster, Ireland is only going to get better with Tato's planned Vekoma STC. My second pick is Redfire at Korsan Adasi. Korsan Adasi opened in 2015 in the midst of the rise of the Turkish theme park industry. They had 3 coasters, 2 clone family rides, but then Redfire. Redfire is a clone of iSpeed in Italy, but it's still worth making a trip out to ride because Redfire improved on iSpeed by featuring this fantastic Intamin new generation lap bars, rather than the hard over-the-shoulder restraints. Now all I think Korsan Adasi needs is maybe a B&M of some sort, and they'd have a nice 1-2 punch. Now we move on to 2016, which is the same distance from now as 2026, which is weird to think about. Now I have a whopping 10 honorable mentions, those being Soaring with Dragon at Hefei Sunukland, Coaster Through the Clouds in Python and Bamboo Forest at Nanchang Sunukland, Flash at Luo Adventure, various Jungle Trailblazers, Loop Roller Coaster at CJ Barrymore's, Mine Train at Foreigner Street, Monster at Adventureland Iowa, Velociraptor at IMG Worlds of Adventure, Tron Lightcycle Power Run at Disneyland Shanghai, and Timber at Wallaby Rhone Alps. The first real pick is Formula at Energylandia. With the help of the Polish government, Energylandia did already have 6 roller coasters before Formula opened, but the only one that wasn't a kiddie coaster was their Vekoma SLC. When they added Formula, however, they added a ride that has so much of what roller coaster enthusiasts love, and it was very unique at the time because it showed a significant shift from what Vekoma was focusing on as well. My second pick is Wildfire at Kolmarden. Speak up right now if you had heard of Kolmarden before Wildfire opened. Yeah, that's what I thought. Crickets. Now we've seen zoos such as the Columbus Zoo get a roller coaster before, but none the scale of Wildfire. Kolmarden ended up taking a risk and it paid off, as enthusiasts from Europe are still to this day clamoring to ride it. Now well over halfway into the decade, we have 2017. The honorable mentions this time include Big Blue at Fun Park Biograde, Capital Bullet Train at Motion Gate Dubai, Gale Force at Playland's Castaway Cove, Great Desert Rally at Happy Valley Chengdu, Hydrus at Casino Pier, Jungle Dragon at Happy Valley Chongqing, Jungle Trailblazer Oriental Heritage Xiamen, Lightspeed at Visionland, Mindblower at Fun Spot America Kissimmee, Red Force at Ferrariland, and Rollin' Thunder at Owa. Wow, that was a lot. Now my first pick is going to be somewhat of a stretch, but I have DC Rivals. Even before DC Rivals, Warner Bros. Movie World is probably the premier roller coaster park in Australia, their lineup being headed by Green Lantern and Superman Escape. However, no one was really thinking Australia as their destination for a coaster trip if they haven't been to America, Europe, or Japan. DC Rivals, though, you could argue put Australia right up there because it's a Mack Hyper and there are very few of those, and also nearly everyone calls it a top 5 coaster. Now my second pick for 2017 is the coaster at Legendia. Legendia has been around for quite a while, dating all the way back nearly to when the area was ruled by Joseph Stalin. It wasn't until 2007 that they got their first major coaster, but that was still just a sketch Soke looper. So with the rise of energy landing nearby, Legendia had to make a move, and they certainly did that. Coaster is a coaster enthusiast dream with a great drop, positive G's whip, and of course airtime. In fact, a good number of people still call it the best coaster in Poland. Now we only have 2 more years left to get through, and the first of which being 2018. Most of the honorable mentions this time around come from China. We have Adrenaline Peak at Oaks Amusement Park, Broken Rail Roller Coaster at Great Singdong Tourist World, Heaven's Wing at HB World, Jungle Trailblazer at Fanta Wild Asian Legend, Launch Coaster at Colorful Yunnan Paradise, and Wood Express at Park St. Paul. The first rail pick is a coaster that was briefly mentioned earlier, Hyper Coaster at Land of Legends in Turkey. Land of Legends originally opened in 2016, headlined by a custom Intamin water coaster. Then 3 years later, the park got a real standout in the form of Hyper Coaster, which is a clone of Flash at Lua Adventure, but considering Flash is in the middle of nowhere China, it really doesn't matter that's a clone. You are highly unlikely to get on both, unless your name starts with Richard and ends with Bannister. My second pick is going to be Oscar's Wacky Taxi. Something I find interesting is that Sesame Place has been operating all the way back to 1981. I would have assumed that was newer. Anyways, they added their first coaster in 1998, but it was just to become a junior coaster, aka not much of a draw. But in 2018, the iconic Oscar's Wacky Taxi opened, which provided a ride that kids will love because it's not too tall or fast, but enthusiasts will also love because of the sheer amount of airtime and the quality of it too. I'm still not sure that justifies the $80 ticket price though. And finally, we are to the last year of the video, 2019. Now we're back down to 6 honorable mentions, those being Celestial Gauntlet at Happy Valley Changsha, Dueling Dragons at Guangzhou Sunicland, Eurostar at Napa Park Jungle, Raylampago at Munda Potapa, and Falcon at Wuxi Sunicland. My first real pick is TMNT Shellraiser, and yes, this is a cloned ride, but its clone is halfway around the world, so just like Hyper Coaster, it really doesn't matter. TMNT is arguably one of the most sophisticated indoor roller coasters, being both a launch coaster and a dive coaster, while at the same time packing in 7 inversions. TMNT looks to provide what I think Nickelodeon Universe in Minnesota was missing, and that being a standout roller coaster. And now with the last pick of the video, we'll end with one of the best coasters of the video, Taiga at Linnanmaki. This is a similar story to Warner Bros. Movie World, where it was the premier park in its country for roller coasters before, but this new addition just took the park to a new level. Linnanmaki might have been great before, but none of their coasters were going to show up on a list of the top 100 coasters. Taiga, on the other hand, is guaranteed a spot as it combines pretty much everything people love in Intamin, and just like the rest of these coasters, slapped Linnanmaki right onto the map. So that's about going to wrap this up, and I wanted to end it off with saying that there were a lot more new parks that popped up this decade than I was expecting, which is why the video ended up being this long. Also, let me know whether I should eventually make this a full series and do other decades too, and if so, what I can improve in the series. Also, it'd be greatly appreciated if you hit the subscribe button, as we're on the road to 2,000 subs. Leave any suggestions, thoughts, or video ideas down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.